Alright, this week I'm going to be talking about dealing with setbacks. Something I've recently had to deal with myself and everything. So the past few weeks I've seen a couple of setbacks and everything. So like for instance, a few weeks ago I ended up going a little too heavy on one of my back workouts, and so I pulled a muscle or something in my neck and in our upper back. So I ended up having to take like a few days off and kind of recover from that, and then get back into it the following week. And of course, now this past week I ended up getting a rare cold and everything. So but it's pretty much now, like starting yesterday on Friday, it's pretty much on its way out and everything. So it pretty much followed the same kind of pattern. So it was relatively quick. So I did come across an article that could help with this topic and everything. And of course, my cat has to be the center of attention and everything. So the article is with the Heart Association. So it's a .org article. So it's a decent source and everything. So it's going to be reliable with being a .org, because I've stated before, .orgs and .edu and .gov tend to be the more reliable information-based stuff on the internet. .coms, you tend to get into the realms of opinions and stuff, and of course a lot of businesses have a .coms as well. So with .coms you have to do a lot more double checking on stuff like that and everything. So that's, of course, that's not to say you always don't want to oh well, it's .edu or .gov or .org that I don't have to double check, read into it, and okay, let me continue my research so I can continue to learn and everything. So the article touches upon some of the do's and don'ts and everything. So it gives 3 examples of each and everything. So some of the do's is you kind of focus on your future goals. Okay, with the setbacks I've had, it's kind of okay, it's frustrating, kind of in a sense okay, I'm expect those expectations of this is how I'm going to be doing things, and I'm going to move on, I'm going to get things done and move from do this, and move from one thing to another, and setbacks happen and everything. So you have to learn how to adjust. So it's one of the do's is okay, you focus on future goals. Okay, I faced this setback. It's frustrating because it wasn't going as I expected it to. And just pretty much the old adage, you just get up back on the horse and get after it again. So that's why it says focus on future goals. And you in a sense that you also want to be a seeker, seeking new knowledge, new insights, and new ways to do stuff. So when you do have these setbacks, you have more tools and more information to be able to pivot and be okay, well, maybe this doing things this way wasn't working and everything for the so now I need to try this new way that I came across with the articles and stuff that I usually go over lately, coming across these okay, well, these are new ideas for me to try and to seek new information, new ideas to kind of to grow and learn and maybe be able to become better at stuff that I do. And the third one they say actually to do is to adjust quickly. So for instance, being able to the adage pivot on a dime. So that kind of comes to mind. So you're able to okay, setback A happened, I have a contingency plan to be able to pivot over here, and now I can move this way and still moving forward. So instead of getting a setback and you're just maintaining you get all frustrated and you don't do anything, and you're staying here, or maybe even you're moving backwards, you find stuff where you can sit there and adjust quickly and pivot. So you pivot, and you're continually moving forward and upward to whatever it is you're trying to achieve and everything. So the things that they actually talk about on don't do is to dwell on the past mistakes. So you do want, in a sense, to look at the mistakes. Okay, for instance, with me, I went a little too heavy on my back workout. Okay, well, I know maybe now not to do that, maybe adjust workouts so I maybe not do the same mistake again. well, they say don't dwell on it. You don't sit there like, oh man, and like I messed up and like total failure, and like you just go down that negative thinking spiral, and you sit there and you dwell on it day after day after day. Yeah, so like you may want just take a pause, think about it, and like, okay, this is where I messed up. This is where I fucked up. I need to like learn from it and move on. And you just don't, like I said, you don't dwell on it and like have those reoccurring negative thoughts, because like it leads to like those negative emotions, and then it leads to negative behaviors and everything. So that's why they say don't dwell on it. It's okay to like pause and think on it and like, okay, how do I improve on it? But you don't want to sit there and dwell on it like 24/7, because like I said, it has that negative impact of pulling you backwards into that like kind of like a stinking thinking type of deal. But what you want to do is learn from it and everything. So another thing is like being an avoider, like avoiding a problem. Like, okay, like a problem comes up and everything, like for instance, like me saying I got sick and everything, like okay, well I got sick, and like instead of just avoiding the problem, like, oh yeah, I'll go away, I look at it like, okay, I could start feeling it coming on Monday, like and I'm like, okay, well I know it works to get rid of it. So what I did is, instead of avoiding the problem, I started taking steps to like, okay, I know how to treat this, and having a good foundation with my physical health, that's, and with that, you want to be able to build that foundation with your physical health, so you can bounce back quicker from stuff. So like with that foundation, I was able to sit there and think, and like, instead of avoiding the problem, I'm like, okay, here's the problem, it's starting to develop, let me go get the stuff that I need to be able to treat this and bounce back quicker. So like, I'm not avoiding the problem, I'm actually in a sense confronting it head on and dealing with it, so that way it doesn't linger on for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I'm sitting there constantly getting even more frustrated, because like, oh well, it's not getting any better. I'm not avoiding the problem, I'm taking action and confronting the problem to fix it. And the third thing is like to stick with something stubbornly. So like for instance, like yeah, I'll reference my injury, that going too hard with my back attack a couple weeks ago, and now it's part of the Monster Maker program I'm doing with Athlete X. Now like I'm still going through the program, but like it's when it says stick with it stubbornly, you don't want to sit here like in a set like the old adage, bang your head against the wall time and time again, and like doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. But what you want to do is like getting back to like adjust the do's is just quickly. So like now using that injury analogy, I can sit here and adjust and be like, okay, well I have to like maybe tweak how I do things this way, and maybe instead of like up in the weight this much, maybe back it off a little, see how that works, and like get doing the adjusting. And instead of just like sticking with it stubbornly, what you don't want to do is like, okay, well I did this a few 2 or 3 weeks ago with this back workout, I don't want to sit there and stick with it stubbornly, like, oh I'm just going to do it again, and then like the same result happens, like, well duh, like this doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So like stick with it stubbornly, don't, and do it just quickly. Those kind of go hand in hands, and so like you can kind of see like the do's and don'ts, they go hand in hand, in the sense that like it's like, don't do this but do this instead. Yeah, so here's an idea that you don't want to do, but here's an idea you can do instead and everything. So it's a brief article and everything, and it only gives like a few examples of each and everything, but it's one of those things that like gets you like thinking like, oh, here's some ideas for me how to be able to overcome the setbacks that that we all are going to have in life and everything. So now of course there are some major setbacks and everything, and so like there are like you could have like a loss of a loved one, or like you could be working through like a major health issue, like maybe you get cancer and everything. So like with stuff like that, like this article is like doesn't in a sense necessarily cover that, because like the stuff like that you're going to want to get the help. Maybe you could do stuff like this, but you want to do it in conjunction with getting professional help, so you can deal with like the loss of a loved one, or maybe like a cancer diagnosis, or like or whatever, like a major issue that life does throw at you. You want to reach out and get that professional help to help you go through those major setbacks. This one, the kind of like overarching theme I got from it was just like a kind of like a generalized, okay, this is how you deal with like the minor everyday week to week type of setbacks that we all have to deal with. So this is just something that like to kind of like give information so people can take it, and like when those setbacks do happen, we can take the information like, oh hey, I remember this, and so let me start utilizing this and everything. So, and like usual, I will link the article in the comments and everything so people can go check it out as well.